Our top story tonight is from Beijing. The sudden disappearance of the Chinese Supremo Xi Jinping's favorites in his cabinet. The highest Chinese officials, particularly close to Xi Jinping, mysteriously disappearing from their high-profile positions. In June, the former Chinese foreign minister was abruptly stripped of his title, remember. And following this, no one has seen him in public. There has been speculation, there have been questions about both his public and private life. And now, months later, it looks like we could be getting some answers. But it's bad news. According to the American news outlet Politico, a quote-unquote Stalin-like purge is being carried out in China. Let me repeat that, a Stalin-like purge. And King Yang may have been a victim of this purge. And that's not all, by the way. Beijing is swirling with allegations that the former minister was tortured to death and that he died in a military hospital in Beijing in late July. The report cited people with access to top Chinese officials as saying that King Yang died either from suicide or torture, or it could be suicide because of torture. The specifics are not yet known, but the conversation and the speculation is intense. And most intriguing, by the way, is the startling fact China has not said a word for someone who, when he joined the cabinet, was a star presence on the world stage. Was the real reason for his abrupt disappearance was his involvement in a serious scandal? A scandal also involving the defense minister, Li Shangfu, and the two generals who commanded China's rocket force. The charge is sensational. The three betrayed the country. They sold the Chinese nuclear secrets to the Western intelligence agencies, and the tip-off came from Russian Deputy Minister Rudinko. The Russian minister informed the Chinese President Xi Jinping about this treachery. Just a quick recap. The China Rocket Force, remember, oversees the country's nuclear weapons program. At the time when King went missing, the top commander of the Rocket Force, along with his deputy and former deputy, also reportedly disappeared. And it does not stop there. Several other senior officers serving and formerly serving were reportedly detained, and one of them died of unspecified illness. Eventually, the missing commanders were formally fired. They were replaced by officers from the Chinese Navy and the Air Force. This is in itself rare, as commanders of China's rocket force are usually promoted from within the service. Sometime after this purge, Li Shangfu, the man picked by Xi Jinping himself as China's minister in March this year, also vanished. Shangfu's dismissal was announced in late October. Nevertheless, King Yang's disappearance stands out. He was, after all, Xi Jinping's blue-eyed boy, the man behind China's wolf warrior diplomacy. And between 2014 and 2018, he oversaw most of Xi Jinping's interactions with foreign dignitaries. In the year 2021, in fact, he served as the Chinese ambassador to the US. 18 months later, he was named China's foreign minister. A rapid rise in the career for Yang, a sign of proximity with the CCP chairman Xi Jinping. In June this year, Yang held meetings with foreign ministers of Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Russia, and then he went off the radar. Reports linked his personal life with his disappearance. They said that he had an affair with a Chinese TV reporter. They said that he fathered a son who is a US citizen. According to reports, this affair and the quote-unquote illegitimate American child are one of the reasons for his purge. And if true, it tells us something new about China's ultra-secretive political system. It also gives us a glimpse into the Chinese Communist regime's inner workings. It has profound implications for the world, for the global economy, and even the prospects of peace in the region. According to this report, the signals coming from Beijing are unmistakable. China's security services are working overtime, and the goal is to repress. to totalitarian levels. And for those of us on the outside of all this, it's almost impossible to know what's really happening inside the country. Naturally, when China's high-profile ministers go MIA quite unceremoniously, it demands attention. It's even more ominous because Gang and Shang Fu were hand-picked and elevated just months before they went missing. According to this latest report, ever since Xi Jinping's reign began in 2012, many have been purged in a similar fashion. They say that from top to bottom, millions of officials have been removed from their posts. What also sets these purges apart is that the ones getting removed are not members of hostile political factions. They are loyalists, part of the inner ring. But if this is the political atmosphere in Beijing, it paints a very different portrait of Xi Jinping than previously perceived. It looks like he is isolated, alone, paranoid even. And if Xi Jinping is indeed isolated, then he can even provoke armed conflict with its neighbor, Taiwan. And that, you see, is the fear. According to the report, hundreds of senior officers in the People's Liberation Army, as well as thousands of top party officials, have been arrested, disappeared, or suicided. And what's common among all of them? Their unflinching loyalty to the people's leader. And it leaves us with many questions, to say the least. But the biggest and the most important one being, does Xi Jinping have any control over his party, cabinet, or his military? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.